How you feel is the indication of what's going to come next, which is your actions, right? And so something may happen to you while you're on the job. A coworker says something that's really awful and mean. And in the moment, you realize your chest is buzzing, your hands are shaking. How are you feeling? You're feeling angry. And what's the next thing that will follow? Out of anger, you may want to be spiteful, revengeful. You may want to retaliate. And so in those moments, first things first, you observe the feeling, know what it is, because not everybody knows what they're feeling. And then you can allow a few seconds, a few minutes for that to die down before you act. And here's why that's important. When we're having these emotions, we don't always think straight. When you're angry, do you think straight?
No.
I see red. The Designers of Change podcast is underway. You want to stay tuned for all that we have to share today. On June 12, 2025, Air India crashed shortly after takeoff, killing 260 passengers. Only one survived. Quite a miraculous survival, if you ask me. And he has a story to share, I'm so sure. But just last week, it came out that this crash is going to be recorded as a suicide, because we are now learning that one of the pilots cut the fuel to the jet as it was taking off. And so for episode 5 on Designers of Change, we're going to be talking about mindfulness and emotional intelligence. And so you want to stick and stay for this one. This is going to be a big one. Now, the Designers of Change is proudly sponsored by our wonderful partners, Jason Myrie Media, Mind Food International, Superlative Auto, also Amanda's Kitchen Jamaica, Grace Creates, and Vibrant Creative Studio. Now, Mr. Wright, mindfulness is the topic.
Oh my!
And there's so much we can share from it.
Yes, I can't believe that we are at episode 5. Episode 5. But guess what? On this podcast, you are going to do most of the teaching.
Really?
Yes, because this is your thing. This is what you train in the corporation, that when we go into corporation, I never ever teach on this topic.
That's true.
Yeah, it is always you who teach on mindfulness and emotional intelligence. I heard you start off with a rather disturbing news of what happened to Air India when the black box was found, and they did the analysis and they realized that one of the pilot cut the fuel to both engines. I want you to take the listeners and the viewers, what is mindfulness and why it is important, because we have seen a leader who did something horrific. Why is it important to have the right frame of mind, or in the right mindset?
Absolutely. No, mindfulness is such a powerful topic. While we do train, we coin it another way. We call it mindfulness, mental health and stress in the workplace, i.e. emotional intelligence. But mindfulness, simply put, is the ability to know what's happening in your head, knowing how you feel, without being carried away by it. It's knowing that you feel angry in the moment and not necessarily acting out of anger. It's the ability to process your emotions, and before responding, you may possibly think of the consequences. Now, from the story we shared, can you imagine one leader's action has cost the life of 260 souls on board? It's catastrophic. And so while we are out there leading, we have to think about the consequences of our actions. Now, we know that it's not what happens to us, because many things can happen to us. The people who boarded that plane on that day The family is on board. They had no idea what would have taken
Yeah,
place,
or what the mental
state of the
state
pilot
of
was.
that.
So it's not what happens to us, it's how we react to it. And so our mental health is very important, and especially in our society that we're just getting the hang of this mental health thing, because remember, we're from a culture, we have to admit it, as Caribbean people, we're from a culture. When you say, boy, I'm not feeling so
Them say
well
Bellevue.
today, right? They say Bellevue, they say they're going to get Lasco for a Milo for turning you in, right? Or they'll say, oh, you go mad, right? But really and truly, we all go through these kinds of emotions or have these down periods. So again, mindfulness is understanding that yes, I can feel how I feel, but I don't have to always respond.
You know what I want to ask you, and probably the viewer of this question as well. How do you think about what you are thinking about? Because sometimes we might have a thought in our head and we can't put that thought to captive, and we allow that thought to run wild in our head and
Right.
eventually it manifests into something else. So how do we think about what we are thinking about and put that thought underneath captivity?
All right. So what you're pretty much asking is, how do we regulate?
Yes, how do we regulate
How do you
those thoughts?
regulate your emotions? And yes, you are having those thoughts, but most importantly, you're gonna think about, or you're going to observe how you feel. How you feel is the indication of what's going to come next, which is your actions, right? And so something may happen to you while you're on the job. A coworker says something that's really awful and mean. And in the moment, you realize your chest is buzzing, your hands are shaking. How are you feeling? You're feeling angry.
Yeah.
And what's the next thing that will follow? Out of anger, you may want to be spiteful, revengeful. You may want to retaliate. And so in those moments, the first things first, you observe the feeling, know what it is, because not everybody knows what they're feeling. And then you can allow a few seconds, a few minutes for that to die down before you act. And here's why that's important. When we're having these emotions, we don't always think straight. When you're angry, do you think straight?
No,
I
no.
see red.
we don't think straight. And it's very important because we saw on the news
Yes.
what happened. Is very, very important, not only not what leaders in general, to have the right frame of mind, and not only leaders but individual in general, because as a man thinketh in his heart,
So is he.
so is he. And if we are not able to think about what we are thinking about, to become aware of our thoughts in our head, because many times we can be thinking destructive thoughts, but if you are not aware of it, and to be able to put those thoughts under captivity, then that can manifest into something
In some destructive
ways. And not only that, but sadly, not only that, but we can not only affect ourselves, but we can affect our families.
Right.
We can affect an organization, and we
Right.
can also affect a countries,
Absolutely.
country as well, because our mindset is not in the right frame of mind. And you
Absolutely.
speak about to regulate your emotion, because Solomon said something. He said anger reside in the laps of fool. And he also talk about somebody who can control themselves, that a person who has self-control is greater than a warrior who takes a city. So self-control is very, very important.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask another question. What about the male ego and its emotion? Like for some, like we have many male where they are probably their ego supersede them, or probably don't know how to regulate it. Probably are in the workforce. How do you? deal with that?
I love that question, and that is why information is so powerful. Knowledge, is power, as cliche as it is. But if we are able to advise our men that they need to be able to name that emotion, they'll be able to control a lot of their reactions or their actions. We've seen a rise in a lot of at home violence,
Yeah.
right? You find that things are happening, the male reacts and then hurts the female, then hurts himself, kind of thing. And a lot of times, if you even catch them in the moment or after it happens, they'll probably say, boy, I just got lost in the emotion.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I'm saying is, males will think the way they think because they're made up different from females, right? And they have their pride to protect.
Yeah.
But if they are aware, self-awareness is the greatest thing in this case. And, mindfulness and emotional intelligence is a superpower because for an individual to go through hurt and pain, because you are hurt, you are feeling some kind of pain, and that's why the emotion has risen up. If you can just take a moment, allow it to pass. There's a book that I read by Mel Robbins, and it's in her Let Them theory. And this is something that is scientifically proven. While you are feeling the emotion, if you allow 8 minutes to pass, you're less likely to react to it.
So
Think about that.
yeah.
8 minutes.
8 minutes, yeah, less, because sometimes our emotions are like a ticking bomb, or a time bomb.
Right.
And if we allow those emotions to explode, then the destruction that it can cause,
It can be catastrophic.
And then sometimes those explosions, you can't reverse it.
Can't revert.
And then sometimes if it's in a way that it can be fixed, sometimes it takes many years
to fix it.
fix it. So it's like a irrevocable. Sometimes our emotions are like irrevocable arrows.
Especially if you are speaking while you're in the moment.
In the moment.
And so I like to tell persons, you're not a statue. You're not an animal. You have emotions. You feel pain. You're going to feel that, but that may not be the best time to express it.
Exactly.
Because you may end up saying things that you really cannot take back.
Yeah.
And we have this very silly saying that we say, oh, sticks and stones may break our bones, but words will never hurt me. I don't know who made up that thing, because words hurt.
Yeah, and words start war.
Yes.
Yeah, words start war. Word bring peace. Word bring healing. Word bring love, and word can bring such destruction. Words can give you money. Words can take money from out of your pocket. So whoever came up with that thing, but sticks and stone may break my bread. Yeah, that's
it's
one
definitely
of the,
not accurate.
And so words, and so we have to control our emotion. We have to control our word. And we have another thing that we heard from Jamaican, that me just keep it real. Anything
So
will
you
come
say
to my mind.
anything.
Yeah.
No. So a mindful person is more likely to wait before they express themselves. And it's not being phony and it's not being fake. It's understanding that you are responsible for the words that you speak and the things that you do. So before you respond it out of hurt or, want to be spiteful or revengeful, you will wait and process that.
Yeah.
And be mindful that while our friendship or relationship or business affairs is not going well right now, I can still respect you as a person. That's what it's all about.
And for those out there who said, I'm keeping it real, and I just say any and everything that comes to my mind, I'm looking in the right camera, right? The producer say, yes, I'm looking in the right camera. You are not wise, because when you keep it real and you tell people anything that come to your mind, what you are doing, you are keeping it broke and you are keeping it lonely.
Absolutely.
Because when you go in your boss's office and you tell that boss every single thing that
That
is
you
on
have
your
on your
mind,
mind.
you are going to lose your
You're
job.
going to lose your job,
You are
definitely.
going to lose your
And
job.
I want to make this final point before we head to the break. You have to understand that when you can regulate your emotions, when you are operating from a space of being mindful, you grow as a person.
Yes, yes,
Let me
you
tell you
do.
something. When you sit back and you process correctly, you will pick up more things than you would have originally realized.
Yeah,
For example, you may be going off on somebody because they didn't reach out to you.
yeah,
But if you were a little bit more mindful, you would have realized that that person doesn't seem to be going,
yeah,
they seem to be going through a rough time anyway. Why would I want to add to their plate? It's
yeah,
already,
yeah.
you're in a chaotic restaurant and the waiter is taking a while to come to your table. If you're more mindful, instead of getting upset with the waiter, you say, boy, they sure have a lot of people to serve today,
Yeah.
right? You will naturally be more mature in how you deal with people and how you look
Yeah,
at
yeah,
things.
because if you are not able to regulate those emotions, you are going to destroy important relationship. And we have seen a number of road rage on the road.
Oh
If
my.
someone as if someone in that moment had control his or her
Yeah.
emotion, it things could have worked out better,
Far better.
far better. And sometimes the problem that the outburst from an emotion, cause sometimes
It's not worth
it's
it.
yeah, it's not worth it, or sometimes it can't be repaired. It's far gone. It's catastrophic. So we're talking about mindfulness. Should we take a
Mindfulness.
break now?
Yes, we'll be back right after the break. Welcome back to the Designers of Change podcast. I am here chilling with Mr. Wright, and he is questioning me about mindfulness and emotional intelligence in the workspace, at home, wherever you go, because we need to be mindful.
And here's another question that I have for you.
Yes.
How is mindfulness and emotional intelligence relate to being an effective leader? So tell the viewers and the listener why a leader needs to have
Both.
both.
Okay, so based on my research and experience, I believe emotional intelligence and mindfulness are pretty much superpowers for leaders. Now, leaders all over the world, they may get there on other merit. They're really exquisite business people. They're savvy, they're intelligent, they're charismatic. And so they climb the ladder of success where leadership is concerned. But I can guarantee you that mindfulness and emotional intelligence will help you to stay there. Why? It's very hard to deal with tyrants.
Yeah, that's hard.
It's not easy, right? And even if they run an organization, after a while, people find a way to get rid of them because they're not the nicest to have discussions with. But, it helps a leader because when you are a mindful leader, you literally have better relationships with your staff.
Yes, you have
Yes.
better relationship with customer, because
Yes.
we have seen some leader who they would shout at people. And you know what, when you are a leader who doesn't practice mindfulness or emotional intelligence, you create fear.
Of course.
Because we have seen in organization where leaders, they shout at people, and guess what?
Curse, they do all
Curse.
kind of
They
things,
curse.
guys.
And so when their staff see those set of leaders, they have heart palpitation. Let me say this: if you're a leader and when your staff see you, their heart palpitate, or if the staff doesn't want to come to work because you're a tyrant, that you are not a leader.
You're not a good leader.
Yeah, you're not. You have
right?
become abusive, and so that is why having good mindfulness, being mindful,
Practicing mindfulness.
and being emotionally intelligent. Because if not, you are going to destroy people.
Yes.
Because when you become a tyrant and people heart palpitate because they see you, they fear getting a call from you. They don't want to see anymore. They only come to work because they have to pay their mortgage, your car loan to take care of their kids. You are no longer a leader at that point because they have become destructive. And so
Yes.
this is why emotional intelligence is so important, that we have the right, you can't be a leader without having the right temperament, having the right temperament to nurture people and not to create a toxic environment.
Absolutely. And the truth is, having a good relationship with people will do
Exactly.
more than fear
Yeah.
mongering ever will and bullying anyone. And as what you also find though is that when the leaders are mindful and they're emotionally intelligent, they're also usually healthier.
Exactly.
They're
Exactly.
healthier. You cannot, let me tell you, some of the most mindful people are the ones who they rarely have any
Yeah.
issues. They don't have high blood pressure, they don't have diabetes. And the reason for this is because not just that they're eating healthy, but they know that they
Yeah.
have to take breaks, they have to exercise, they know that they're not, they're not supposed to be doing certain things, and they preserve themselves and their minds. Sometimes, not sometimes, but most of
Most
the
of the time.
times, you can connect some health issue to issues that are happening deeper. So, for
Yeah.
example, people who have chronic acid reflux, ulcers, those persons usually struggle with resentment. They usually struggle with letting go of their past, unhealed trauma, all these different things, high blood pressure. Sometimes those people can be connected to high anxiety. They're worried about so many different things. And so you have to understand that mindfulness is directly related to a lot of these things. Also, people who are mindful and emotionally intelligent, they actually have a better standard of living. They get up content.
And you know what as well, you lead better when your mind is stable.
Of
You
course.
lead because when you are not mindful, when you don't practice emotional intelligence, your mind is clouded,
Yes, it's
and
all
it
over the
makes your
place.
vision cloudy as well. And so if and my grandmother used to say small pot boils quick. And if you're a leader that is easy
That
to be,
cannot be you, right? It
yeah,
shouldn't be you, at
yeah.
least.
If you're a leader that you are easily ticked off, you are easily upset, you are not going to make good decisions.
That is true.
Because if you are easily ticked off, if you are easily upset, that means you can be easily be drawn
Or
out or
manipulated.
be
Right.
manipulated through your emotion. And then guess what?
Absolutely.
When we are angry, we usually make foolish decisions. And that is why Solomon said one of the richest man who ever lived. He said, anger resides in the laps of fool.
Yes.
Because when you are angry for a period of time, you make foolish
Absolutely.
decision.
Absolutely. By the way, Mr. Wright, I don't want it to act like I didn't see you reach for my cup and drinking my
You
juice.
have to drink your
And now
juice.
everybody watching knows. I saw you.
I have to drink that juice. My mouth was getting dry, so I have to drink that juice. so,
But
so I want to ask you another one.
yes,
Give the viewers and probably some leaders. By the way, you need to book us for this. You need to book us
for this training,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah,
way we can cover this
Yeah, we
topic
can't
in
cover
the
this.
short
Yeah.
space
So
of
book
time.
us. That was a commercial break. So give the leaders and people out there. Well, whenever we say leaders, we're talking to everybody.
Right.
So give them some strategy for practicing mindfulness.
I love this, and I want to spend some time on this as we look to close out. So, as we mentioned, mindfulness, emotional intelligence, they are superpowers. Don't think that you have to get super philosophical to understand the concepts. It's very simple, right? So if you are on a job, you're working, some strategies for mindfulness could include that you have a to-do list for your day. You're organized, right? Now, before you start your day, you have your to-do list. That's the first thing. Before you start your day and you jump into your to-do list, you have a little devotion, a meditation. I don't know which God you serve. I serve one. And so
Yeah.
we pray, we may worship, and it doesn't have to be anything that is extravagant. It may mean that you take literally 15 minutes and say, God, guide me through today. I need you to show up for me. Show me what you need me to work on. We pray for peace, whatever the case is. Make sure you're doing that.
Yeah, because as a leader and as an individual, you need to have your mind in the
Right place.
in the right places.
Right.
Because wherever the mind goes, the man go. Let me say that again. Wherever the mind goes,
The man goes.
the man goes. And
Or
so
woman.
our woman. Our woman. So you have to ensure that your thoughts are in the right place. Your thoughts are in true north for us, that is God. Because if a compass is not in alignment with true north, it will never ever give the correct direction. It's the same thing with your GPS. If your GPS is not in alignment with true north, it's going to take you around in circles, so that they say that the GPS must be recalibrated. So probably your mind needs to be recalibrated. And we saw that in history with slavery. They didn't allow the slave to read because they didn't want the slave mind to be in the right place. And so when your mind is in the right place, you can put your emotion in the right place. And for a leader, you need to get that. So you say, put your mind in the right place. Give us another strategy.
Well, I wasn't done. You just jumped in like.
Yeah, I jump in.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
Okay.
I'm not
All
going
right.
to do it again.
So I said the to-do list, devotion or meditation, but you also want to ensure that you're not taking on too much of what we call multitasking. Here's the thing. We hype multitasking up to think that we are doing many things at once, when all that's really happening is your brain is switching from one thing to the next. You're not very effective, you're not very thorough, and you're not going to get quality from it. I know many persons will say, well, I multitask all the time,
yeah,
right?
well, I like to say that.
Especially as women who are out there, we're career women, we're at home with the children, we're doing all these different things. However, if you want to get things done at a quality level, focus on one thing at a time instead of doing too many things and not getting the results that would make sense. All right, so make sure you're careful about the multitasking. Also, you want to take breaks while you're on the job. Don't just sit one place for 8 hours.
Yeah.
You won't feel motivated, and you definitely won't be mindful after a while, right?
Yeah.
Take a break from the screen. Get up, walk, right? Exercise is one thing as well, and to eat healthy. And those are, that's a pick a struggle.
Yeah.
Me and KFC hot wings. But I'm still working on it. I'm working on it, right? But you want to make sure that you're doing some of these things. Make sure that you are actually creating and sustaining good relationships on the job. It helps you to be mindful.
Yeah.
When you're having an off day, if you have that coworker, that that work bestie that will come around and say, hey, Nas, why your face looking like that? How are you feeling? What's going on? And encouragement here and there, it helps. Now, if it is that you don't have a workspace at all that you have to deal with, simple mindfulness tools. Do breathing exercises. This is something we do in training. By the time we do 3 quick breathing exercises, you start hearing things you never heard before. Because when you're doing the deep breath, it literally turns on certain sensory parts of your brain that weren't very cued up to begin with. You start hearing the AC pushing out the air. You're right. You start realizing the wind is blowing against the glass. All these different things. You're not conscious of it before, but the breathing exercise actually does that. It releases some of those stress hormones, and it makes you a little bit more in tune with what's happening around you. Now, you also want to ensure that you are taking in positive things. All right. Granny used to say garbage in, garbage out. Take the garbage in early in the morning. That's all you're going to be putting out throughout the day. If all you're interested in is all the social media gossip and exposés and whatever the case is. So you have to be mindful of what it is you are putting in your mind. But this list is not exhaustive, but for more, you definitely have to book us for a training session. But Mr. Wright, you're closing out. What do you have to say?
So I just want to inform them that mindfulness is very important. As a leader and as an individual, because as a man thinketh in his heart,
so is he.
You have to take care of your mind. Where the mind goes,
the man
follows as well. And guess what? Your mind, your feet will never take you where your mind has never been. Let me say it. Your feet will never take you where your mind has never been. And if you have stinking thinking, you're going to produce a stinking life.
Wow.
So we want you to be mindful and have emotional intelligence. We don't want you to self-destruct.
Yes.
We don't want you to do things that sometimes that are irreparable. Is that the word?
It
irreparable.
is.
And so we want you to have a productive life, especially when you're a leader. Then your mindset has to be well. We have seen the catastrophic effect from one person whose mind was not in the right place. And probably if you had talked to somebody, we could have saved over 200 lives. So today, we want you to have the right mindset so that you can lead effectively and live effectively. And that when you make decision, it coming from a place of principle, coming from a place of wisdom, and not necessarily a place of emotion, because so often our emotion lie to us. Because our emotion, if we live by our emotion, we don't live a fruitful life.
That's true.
And so we end the podcast. And can we use the Terminator line again, babes? Like the Terminator, we will be back.
Thank you for joining us for the Designers of Change podcast. Join us on the next episode.